So this function is supposed to check if the given integer n is a multiple of the integer m. And it's supposed to be an integer multiple, as the docstring makes it clear. The answer to this question is either true or false. And so in our signature, we have said our return type is bool. Now here are the two doc tests that are given. As an example, if I give you n as 10, that of course is an integer multiple of 5. So we say that the expected answer is true. Notice that in Python we must spell true with a capital T. So that is the Boolean value true. Similarly, 10 is not a multiple of 0. No matter what integer we multiply 0 with, the answer is going to be 0. It's never going to be 10. And so the expected answer in that case is false. Despite being given this very clear function name and a docstring with two doc tests, our generative AI has produced code that is poor. If you give it the inputs 10 and 5, it will actually calculate 10 remainder 5. That answer is 0. And 0 is equal to 0. So this expression will evaluate to true, which is the expected answer. So far, so good. On the other hand, if we give it the values 10 and 0, this operation 10 remainder 0 will produce an error. We cannot divide by 0, and so we cannot compute the remainder with 0. So even though we made it very clear in our doc test that we wanted the answer to be false in this case, our AI has made a mistake. Do not blindly trust your AI. I cannot repeat this enough. Instead of relying on the AI, let's write this statement ourselves, since we now know how to write a simple conditional statement. We will say that if m is 0, return false. So if m really is equal to 0, we will get to line 10, and this function will return the value false. A return statement will exit us from the function. So the only way this function can actually reach line 11 is if this condition were false. That means m is not 0. And if m is not 0, it's perfectly safe to calculate n remainder n. And we can just check that Boolean condition, the same condition that our AI had suggested. This Boolean condition is either going to be true or false. When it is true, we will return the value true. And when this expression is false, we will return the value false. So we could have written this line 11 using another if condition. If this condition is true, return true, and if this condition is false, return false. But there's no need to do this. We can just simply return this Boolean expression. So this code is much better. But if you look at it carefully, you might still have a doubt. What if m is 0 and n is also 0? Then isn't it the case that n is an integer multiple of m? If n and m were both equal to 0, what would the code do? Well, the code would check if m is 0, which it is, and it would return false. So according to the code, 0 is not an integer multiple of 0. But according to the doc string, perhaps we do want to consider 0 as a multiple of 0. It would have been even better if we had a third doc test that made the intention of the programmer very clear. What did they have in mind in the case when both n and m were 0. So we could have improved the design of this function by adding a third doc test, and then we could have checked if the code actually satisfies that doc test.